Hello, good people. How are you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you're watching this from across the globe. Welcome to Sukibe YouTube Conversations. And my name is Sukibe Atsulu. I am born again. I love Jesus. I am a product of grace. I am so excited to come to you today again with authentic conversations. That is what we do on this platform. And today is a special day for me. It is my wedding anniversary. Hey, I am excited because these conversations have come from a point of growth and restoration and healing in this journey. Today, I am not alone in studio as well. I am joined by an amazing friend of mine who I have walked this journey with when I'm doing mentorship. Because I had mentioned we do mentorship for girls, the young people, empowering them to help them also find their identity. And so I want to invite her to introduce herself as we welcome her to Sukibe YouTube Conversations. Karibu sana.
First of all, let me just start by saying happy anniversary.
Thank you.
How many years?
Thank you. Did they say on camera? Not many.
I hope you delete that. Anyway, my name is Alina Kende. Just like Sue said, we have walked together when in her journey of mentorship and in my journey in what I do. And with that, I am a psychologist, counseling psychologist. And at the moment, I am doing my doctorate in clinical psychology. So today I'm very excited to be talking about what we are talking today, and I'll allow Sue to say what it is.
Amazing. So we are about to call you Daktari very, very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we do on this platform is hold authentic conversations to help people work in emotional wellness, self-awareness, find their identity. Anything that pertains to mental health is our, what can I say, like our everyday assignment. And so one of the things we do in this platform is help people find themselves in the journey of life. Wherever you are, probably you could be having can I say not really a challenge really. Sometimes we don't even know we have challenges. We don't even know what's going on, but we just find ourselves. Like the topic we are discussing today, I want to say thank you to our viewers because of the emails, the chats on WhatsApp, the conversations, the feedback. This topic today as well is a feedback from you guys. So thank you. And so today we are discussing attachment styles. It is one of those things that as well, when I heard about it, I had to self-search. Yeah, so Alina, welcome. What is attachment styles? What do you understand by attachment styles?
Attachment styles is how we relate to people or connect to people. And in today's one, we are going to talk about how we relate to people in the context of romantic relationships or intimate relationships.
Amazing.
Yes.
Wow. And you see, when you say intimate relationships, I think like what I have seen in marriage, in my own journey, because when we get to meet this person and we are dating and we are becoming friends, some of these things are not outright.
No.
I'll just be wondering, why are we clashing? What is it? Because I saw this tall, dark, and handsome gentleman and we just fell in love and, we are doing this. But some of those things like attachment styles, I feel like, I don't know, maybe we really don't understand from the onset, or we don't know what we should look out for. We just find ourselves in it.
You're so right to say that. And the reason why a lot of people are not able to even identify attachment styles is because they come out when you form an intimate relationship.
Oh, wow.
Which means if people are just there, you just relate, acquaintances, attachment styles are still hidden for most part.
Yeah.
Until you have a relationship, that is when attachment styles shows up for most times. So don't wonder why. And yet, they're so important because they influence so much. Because at the basis of attachment styles is sometimes a lot of trauma in there. So there is so much that is attached. That is why personally I'm very passionate about, even in my spaces with my personal clients, one thing I focus on is attachment styles. Because when you look at attachment styles, you realize what is it that this person has dealt with. from when they were young. As babies from like 1 year old, some even say they start from when you're 0, you know. So it's able to inform me as a therapist which areas to look at.
To look at.
Yes.
Amazing. So how are they formed?
Before we talk about how they are formed, I would just talk about what are they? What are these attachment styles?
Go ahead.
So that now we look at how are they then formed. And we have a lot of people focus on 3 attachment styles that people deal with. But there's one, an addition, which is that a combination of 2 of the first one. And the first one is secure attachment. There are people who are very secure, and these people, they are very confident. They are comfortable with intimacy. They know what they want. They are able to communicate their needs. They are able to support their partners in also identify their needs and meeting them. And also they're able to support them emotionally. So these people, they are the ideal.
Oh, wow.
All of us should aspire.
Should be secure.
Should be aspire.
Aspire to get there.
Yes.
So that's a healthy one.
Yes, and we don't like labeling them as healthy or unhealthy because you're just a victim of your circumstances or your environment. And so to enable us to look at how people attach to others with empathy and not blaming or name calling or shaming them, we prefer not to call them healthy or unhealthy.
Yes.
But just this is who you are, but there are other ways. There is an ideal that you can be. Yes.
I'm learning.
Yeah, all of us, we are learning.
Yeah.
And therefore, after the secure attachment, then we have the anxious. The anxious, they are the most warm people on this planet. They love, they are cuddly. And of course, with this warm and all of this, it also comes because they are warm because they love intimacy. You know, like anything that is not intimacy, they are out.
Oh.
They focus on the relationship. It can be a problem though, you know. There's a part to it. They also struggle with rejection, abandonment, because they want to feel close. And you see, the reason why I'm presenting it like this is because when people hear anxious, they are jumpy.
Yes.
Like we need to stay, you know.
Yes.
But there are traits of these people that are so good because they are always there for one another. Of course, it can also lead to people pleasing and so many other things.
Oh.
But at the core of these people, they just want to be intimate. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. And if, for instance, they found somebody who is secure and is patient enough to make them feel secure, to make them feel safe and everything like that, then it's not even, majority of time, they will even catch up and become secure. Because at the core of it, they just want to be intimate and close to people and touch. Even a lot of people that you hear their love language is touch. I'm not saying everyone, but there's a bit of that. Like they just want to be close to their intimate partner.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have the avoidant. And a lot of people use really bad names to call these people because they are the people who will date you for 1 year, and then the first time you tell them you love them, they are out.
Oh.
When you get close, they leave. But people don't understand why do people do this?
Yes.
They do this because of what they've been through. They realized they couldn't depend on people. And because they couldn't depend on people, they said, I will never put myself in a position where I need anyone. I want to be independent. I want to do things on my own. I'm self-sufficient. And therefore, any attempt for anyone to come close, stay away, or I withdraw. So when you look at these people like that, you're more empathetic instead of judging them, calling them names. Yes, like when you hear somebody is having a certain, let's say, to be just extreme, an illness, Do you blame them? Like, you have cancer because you did this, you did that. If anything, you find out what can we do to be able to help you. So that is how we ought to look at attachment styles, because nobody was born with attachment styles.
That's true.
No, it's not biological, it's not genetic.
And you see, the more you're talking, I realize how we could push people further down
Yeah.
into whatever space they're in, because I'm feeling these are what's wrong with you. Yes, I'm already feeling like you have a problem.
Yes.
Also, I like the way you're bringing it up, that we should look at them with empathy.
Yes.
Because this person who is probably whatever happened to them in the previous relationship or even growing up, I feel like I don't want any form of attachment with anybody. I am, yes.
Yes. And then, of course, now from the hybrid of this avoidant and anxious, then we have another category. These ones are anxious, avoidant.
Avoidance.
Yeah, and these ones, of course, just like the name suggests, is because they have the two traits. They desire relationship, they fear connection.
Oh, wow.
So this is where you have push and pull.
Yes.
You know, today they like
Two
you,
extremes.
tomorrow they don't like you.
Yes.
You know, tomorrow you're beautiful, the next day, what's wrong with your face? You know, like there's so much that goes on. And at the same time, to be in such a relationship is such a roller coaster, because the person doesn't even understand what their needs, what their problem is. They just feel themselves, because there is a part of them that loves people, there's a part of them that want to stay away from people. And therefore, the attachment style is formed. Like that.
Anxious, avoidant.
Yes.
And when people, let's say, I'm in a relationship, I'm beginning a relationship with this person, and of course, we talk about where I'm coming from. As much as we are also advised, before you know somebody very well, I don't start saying I've been in 10 relationships, because you'll be wondering, what is wrong with you?
Right?
Probably even decision
Right.
will happen like what happened last time.
Yeah.
But how can, so that we are treading on the ideal, the way you talked about the ideal space, how can people be able to, I don't know, you can't probe. I don't want to find out what how did you get here? Like, how best can people relate so that I can understand how to work with you,
Right.
how to help you, how to accommodate you in my space, so that we can grow together.
And when it comes to that, a lot of people, they don't focus on the things that matter when they're dating initially. Because with what is happening now, there's so much that is on, or even less that is on the table when it comes to dating.
That's true. If there is anything.
People focus on the physical attraction and how compatible we are sexually or things like that. And then they fail to look at the things that actually matter. Because I can tell you for a fact, when it comes to relationship, attachment styles is one of the things that matter. And therefore, it comes out as you relate with someone long term. Because as we continue with this session, we are going to talk about some of the traits that you're able to identify in your partner. And then okay. And at the same time, you're also looking at yourself. How do I present myself in a relationship? How do I attach myself to people in a relationship? And then you look at the person, the potential person you're looking at. How are they presenting themselves? And I say, even when it comes to premarital counseling, it should never be a last-minute thing. It should be something you do if you're intending to get married, like in next year. You should have already started sessions.
Hey.
Because they can tell you whether you can get married or not. You don't want to wait until last minute to realize this is not what I want. Because people don't talk about so many things, and then they discover them later. Or even by the time you're 3 weeks to the wedding, you're having your last session 2 weeks before the wedding, you feel like, I'm now obligated, to be in this marriage. Here. It's too late. Everybody knows. We've invited people. But premarital counseling should be, first of all, I support it being done by a professional, somebody who is a therapist. I can tell you for a fact, there is nothing wrong. We can have the spiritual. In fact, when I was in school, I shared classes with so many pastors, and I loved the fact that a lot of even the spiritual circles, we are having people who are getting aware of this. And even in their theological school, they have a lot of units where they talk about therapy so that they know how to guide people. Because when you come to me, you're talking about you want to get married. It's not about me. And I'm not even there to tell you how to get married.
That's true.
Or who to
Or
get
what to
married
do.
to. It's for you to look at everything that is on the table and then realize, now as I know you like this, am I ready to work with this? Yes.
And live with you for the rest of my life.
Yes.
So what are the traits that we look at in assessing attachment style?
Okay.
Now that we are there.
Yeah. First of all, I would be looking at this, first of all, by just wondering, these traits, when did they even start? How did they come about to be formed? And one thing that happens when you are a baby, for instance, somebody who is secure, how your parents related to you as a child, or the caregivers that were in your life, is the reason why, for most parts, you have the attachment style that you have. Of course, as we move along, we also get experiences along the way that shape our attachment styles, because they also change.
That's true.
Yeah, if you stay for a long time and you're not dealing so well and people are not willing to change with somebody who is not securely attached, you can join them. Yes. So it's something like, people used to think, once I have this style, then I remain with this forever. Oh, it can change if you're not, guarding your safe base. If you're, for instance, you're secure. And therefore, as a child, and when you hear this, and a lot of people, when they hear this, you'll be more careful about the kind of people they invite into their spaces when they have little children. Because a child, at that point, they are learning how to cope with life, every aspect of life. And so if they have a parent who is always present, they are consistent, then they are secure.
They're secure.
Yes. And then when you find now these are another type of parent where, yes, they may be secure, but they are working for most part when the child is awake. And then, you know how these things work. And we are not even condemning anyone, because life is life and people must live as it comes.
Yes.
But just to be aware, then you're able to put mitigating factors if you're that mom, if you're that dad who is not able to be home for most of the time. Because if a child is able to feel safe with you, and then the next minute they have the auntie who is just cold, then they have the nanny who is beating them and doing all these things to them, then they are anxious. They end up being anxious because of that. And then there's also something parents do, where parents lie to children. When you're going to work, you tell your child, "Ebu, go and get my purse."
Yeah.
By the time they come, you
You are
gone.
gone.
Do you know, those are some of the small things that are happening in our spaces that are causing these things that people are battling with. Because you're supposed to tell a child, when a child is like 1, 2, 3 years old, they don't know whether you're going to come back in the evening. When you leave, they think you're not going to come back because you're out of sight. So they're like, will she come back? Will he come back? So if a child, you send them to the bedroom or go to the play and go and get this, and then they come and find you're gone, they are literally anxious. That's why they will scream and wail and wondering, where did mom go? Is she going to come back? So the best thing for a parent is to tell your child. They'll still cry. Tell them, I am going to work. I'll be back in the evening. So the child will cry as you go, and then they'll see you in the evening, do it the following day and the day after, and they will know mom goes, mom comes back.
Yes.
Dad goes to work, dad comes back. And that's when you realize one day they won't even cry anymore because they know you're going to come back.
You'll come back.
And that child is in a better space to have secure attachment style.
At this point, we should all be repenting of the times you tell them, go pick your shoes. By the time they turn like this, as you're coming, you're gone. Oh,
yeah,
my
it's
goodness.
better to tell them,
The truth.
let them cry, but they will know. Or even dropping them to school, let them cry, but tell them, I'm leaving you here, you're going to learn, but in the evening, I'll come and pick you. They'll cry the first week. Don't you see it? They cry the first
Oh,
week.
yes.
And
Yeah,
then the week
it's
after, they're
true.
like,
They're
bye.
used, yeah.
Because they know you're going to come for them. They don't want to live in school.
Yes.
You know, they still want to go back home. So that is how the little things we do, the kind of nanny you bring. You know, when the child is so young, it's important to have somebody who is clean and things like that. But your main focus should be how warm is this person, how nurturing are they to this child. And that one will ensure that you have a child that will develop secure attachment as they grow up.
Attachment.
Yes.
You said that, and I remembered last year I did an episode on abandonment anxiety. And I think the inquiry I'd gotten is, you mentioned about that's something about the caregivers, because I think that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And sometimes children grow feeling like just the same way this caregiver had been left under. She left, one day she left me alone in the house and never came back. So you go feel like everybody is leaving. You get into a relationship with this person is leaving. You
Yes.
get friends, everybody is leaving.
Yes.
So now you start being clingy and we're all wondering what is wrong with you. So the fact that you said those things are nurtured from when a child is small, and I'm thinking, hey, the behavior may just be growing and growing. So all of a sudden you have grown-ups, young adults, teenagers. We work with teenagers with you, and you do it, I think, more than I do. And you come across teenagers who are very, I wouldn't want to say outright rebellious, but there's something they're trying to communicate.
Yes.
Then you're thinking, this child no longer listens, they're rebellious, meanwhile, it goes way back to when they were small.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think now as parents, we need to understand that, because it's never too late. Because there is nothing that cannot be undone, fortunately. Or even attachment styles can be changed, as I said in the beginning, which means the moment we start making, if it's our children, start feeling safe. And even eventually, I will talk about even how we ourselves, we can make ourselves start changing without even the presence of a relationship. Because when people are saying, oh, I'm worried, I'm waiting for someone to marry me, to be in a relationship, that single time, you should use it to work on yourself. If people did that, relationships would be working better instead of waiting for relationship and you're not even ready for it, because there's a lot of baggage you're carrying. You may not have invented the baggage. Somebody may have handed it over to you, but it's still a baggage that you're carrying. Yeah, and then of course now you will wonder, why do we need attachment? I mean, there's a huge wave where we need to be independent, we need to have inner peace, we need to not depend on your partner, we just need to be self-reliant. But then research has found that interdependence, I will not call it dependency or codependency, interdependence, it's a fact. It's not a choice.
Oh, wow.
So it's not something, because you're biologically, you're wired to want to connect with people. It's just that a lot of people, even the personalities, where this one is an introvert, this one is an extrovert, it's just based on how you were brought up. So it formed the personality that you have.
Yes.
But we are hardwired to want connection. And therefore, in fact, they even looked at how biologically our partners affect us. They looked at couples that one of them would have high blood pressure or things like that. If they have a partner that cares about them, their blood pressure lowers.
Oh, wow.
If you have it and your partner is all over the place, it goes up. That is why you even hear people tell you, if you're going through a difficult moment, or even you in your marriage, I don't know whether you practice that, just a hug with your intimate partner, it does a number on you. It lowers your anxiety, you know, because there is a biology behind that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because even one time they did a research where they had somebody with no one, then they tell you, we are going to send some shock waves, minor ones, and so the stress levels was so high. But then when it came to this now the somebody with a partner, they were mild. But those that reported to have high satisfaction in their relationship, there was actually no presence
Oh, wow.
of stress. That tells you how connection is
How can
important and it shapes where our relationships go.
Where they go.
Yeah.
Wow. I want you to look at that camera and give a parting shot to somebody that has listened and maybe have seen themselves somewhere or where we started. Or maybe I'm a parent. I'm looking at these children. I always think they have a problem. But the problem is from way back.
Right.
Yeah. So like just guide somebody on how do they identify where they are at, and you said it can be undone. So how do we undo, even if it's maybe a parent with a child or a partner in a relationship? How do they undo once I have identified?
Yeah, first of all, even in the process of identifying, we need to be very empathetic to whoever it is that we are dealing with, to know that this is not something they asked for, it's something that came into their lives. And therefore, there are so many ways to deal with this, or even traits to look out for, just like I discussed, a few things here and there that will show where you are at. And therefore, if you want to deal with that, you can, first of all, you can get help, first of all, from people like us, psychologists. You can also just look at this information. What are these traits? And what it is that I can do about it, because sometimes it takes a long time. It's not something that is done.
That's true.
But when you meditate and changing where you are at and reversing, so that if you're dealing with abandonment issues, you feel like I am worthless, you start telling yourself, I am worthy. If you repeat that for a long time, because your brain is wired to consume what you're telling it, within like 21 days, you realize there's a change that is happening.
Wow.
Yeah. Otherwise, those are some of the things you
Amazing.
can handle this.
Wow. We are told that we learn every day, and some of these things you actually never know you are in a certain space until you look at it like from a wide scope. And so I want to believe that just as I have been learning and taking my notes, that you have also picked a point or two on how attachment styles are formed and also why they are important. They are important. So we are not saying that everything is outrightly wrong. We just need to find ourselves, find the spaces we are in, and be able to live, at the end of the day, be able to benefit each other, be able to live in, did you call it interdependence?
Yes.
Yeah, as we are living together, we form healthy relationships that I am adding value to my partner, to my children, to colleagues in the workplace. I'm adding value to the people around me, and I'm also gaining from being in their space.
Right.
So look out for part 2 of attachment styles, where we will go deep into the behaviors that feed them, how to get help, and many, many more. I don't want to preempt everything. So until next time, catch this conversation. Part 2 is loading. Share this video with somebody who can also learn, and subscribe to the channel so that you can continue to get more and more of these conversations. So until next time, bye bye and God bless you. Bye.